My name is Mark and I'm here today to talk to you about goal setting. Why do people do it? What is it and what can it achieve for you? So let's start this with a little bit of a story. Back in the late 70s, there was a big study at Harvard Business School around their MBA students setting goals. Now, I believe about 83% of them were enjoying their course, their degree, didn't have any goals. About 13% of them had started to figure out pretty clear goals for where they wanted to get to in life. And the final 4%, they had very clear, written down goals with timelines where they wanted to get to in life. So, this is in the 70s, we come back 10, 20 years later, and we check in and see how they're all doing. Well, needless to say, they're at Harvard Business School, they're doing okay. But the students, those 13% who had their goals, are earning twice as much as that first group of 83%. And now what about that final group? 4% who had really clear, tangible, written down goals. Well, they were earning 10 times everybody else. The reason for this is that goals are transformative in picturing where you're going to get to in life, how you're going to get there, and motivating yourself in both the good times and the tough times, because they are always going to come along. So, how do we start doing this? How do we build goals, and what can our life look like? So, with that, let's do a little activity. Put me on pause and go grab a nice A4 sheet of paper, and I'll show you what we're going to do. Here's mine. Let's fold it in half. So, one fold in half, nice and clear. Same direction, fold in half again. And then let's fold one more time. So, what have we got here? Open it up, and it should look like this. 8 sections. Why? Because we have about 80 years as our life expectancy. So, what does this represent? 10 years, each individual block. This is your life you are holding in your hands. So, let's take a look at what your life looks like. How long do you think you spend asleep? I'll tell you, it's about 1/3 of your life. So with that, I'm afraid I'm going to start tearing up some of your life here. So that'll be about 26 years. So we've got 2 strips are coming off. And if you've done a really good job folding them, even better than I have, these will fold really, or they'll rip really neatly along the lines. So, definitely cut lots of my ripping. And there goes 26 years of your life. We've still got lots left, don't panic. How long do you think you spend eating? Well, that's about 5 years, so probably going to lose most of this other section. What next? Well, you'll go to the bathroom quite a lot. How long do you think you spend on the loo? The average person spends about half a year on the loo individually, and then when you factor in going to the bath, showering, all that kind of stuff, it's about 1.5 years of your life. So, let's take that off as well. But what we're looking at now is pure focus time for you to achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. This activity helps you realize how little time perhaps we can have to achieve what we want to do, but why we need to be so focused on making sure whatever it is that you want to happen in this world, you make happen. So as an activity, you can pause me now or you can come back to this later. Write down a couple of goals, one for each 10-year strip that you have left. Do a work goal, maybe do an education goal, and do a just for fun goal. What would be really, really cool? If you could do anything, what would it be? So having looked at why we set goals, what we can achieve as a result, and the time and focus we need to get that done, let's look at the framework behind this. For For this, I'm going to introduce you to SMARTER goals. It's a really boring but brilliant acronym that could get you through all of the goal setting you will do for the rest of your life. Some of you might have heard of SMART goals before. I'll whiz you through what they stand for, which is very simply specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So what that gives you is a very clear framework for understanding as you're writing down your goals, does it meet these standards? And they're super simple and they're super clear. But I'll give you an example so that we can evaluate this. I'll share one of my goals with you. This is one of my personal goals and it's super fun, and this is a what if goal. I'd love to get it done. I would like to jump out of a helicopter on a snowboard and go all the way down the mountain. So analyze my goal that I just shared with you against that framework. Is it specific? How is it measurable? How is it achievable? Is it realistic? And is it time-bound? I'm sure you all noticed. It's specific and it's measurable. I only need to do it once. It's pretty clear, it's an action, right? But questions remain. Is it realistic? Well, I'll tell you now, I can't snowboard. But I have learned to ski, and I think that I can make the next step to snowboard. I can imagine what it looks like, and it drives me, it motivates me. It's hard, but in an exciting way. Haven't mentioned time. When am I going to get it done by? Well, I'll be honest, I don't know how my knees will handle doing an activity like that if I wait till I'm 80. So maybe if I can do it by 40, then it becomes an even stronger goal. So there's our little analysis of goals. Whatever you set for yourself, use this framework to understand what it is you're setting. And now let's take it up a gear. Earlier I said SMARTER goals, right? More intelligent, more impactful, more powerful. Well, what could the E and the R possibly stand for? Again, let's take a moment. Pen and paper, write down as many options as you think that would make sense for this framework. What could the E and R possibly stand for? Okay, great job. Hopefully some of you will have got this. The E stands for evaluation, and the R stands for reward. Now, most people will know the SMART framework in life, but they will consistently fail to evaluate and reward, because these are actually the easy bits. You sit down after you've either achieved your goal or you haven't achieved your goal, or maybe midway through, and go, how am I doing? Am I putting my all into this? Am I rocking and rolling to make this a genuine reality? Or am I sitting in my bedroom watching TikTok thinking, oh, maybe I can't get it done? You need that positive mindset, and you need to encourage yourself both in the good times and the hard times. And then reward. What is the point in working incredibly hard in life if you're not going to reward yourself? And that applies to both massive success and, for me as well, massive failure, right? Failure is a part of the journey of growth, of learning, of achieving new things. So if you set wildly ambitious goals and you fall just a little bit short, that sounds like a great failure. So context is important, and that's why you need that honest reflection and evaluation. So I have some questions for you to ask yourself. How hard did I try to achieve this goal? How much did I want it or need it? What else could I have done? What should I have done? And 4, why did I actually set the goal in the first place? Sometimes we set bad goals because we just don't know where we're going in life. And that takes time. And you want to figure out a wider vision and purpose to where you are going in life. And then you can reward those massive, massive successes, which I know you are all capable of. So, as a bit of a segue, I'm joined here today by Lewis, who's a good friend of Apprentice Nation and the CEO of an exceptional business, which we'll talk a little bit about, but mostly we're here to talk about goals, right? And you're a big goal setter. So, what do they mean to you?
Listen, goals are so important, Mark. Like, honestly, I say this to people all the time. It's not necessarily that we have to focus on whether we've achieved them or not. The most important thing when you're thinking about setting a goal is the direction that it gives you. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you know, I always say to people, remember when, did you ever watch Alice in Wonderland when you were young? Yeah. Do you remember that moment where she goes and sees the Cheshire Cat and she says, you know, which way shall I go? And he says, well, where are you trying to get to? She says, I don't know. He says, well, then it doesn't matter. Because if you don't know where you're trying to get to, we have no idea which direction you're supposed to be going in. So the importance of a goal starts there. It gives you direction to say, actually, this is where I'm going to be going towards. And then from there, you can start to decide on the type of journey you're going to take, what transportation you're going to take, how much momentum, how long it's going to take you. But until we know where you're going, nothing else matters.
For sure. Incredible advice. In terms of moving it forwards then, what about a specific goal that you've set? How did you do it? What were the successes along the way?
For sure, man. I mean, I probably would say that I'd link something that took place last year, which I then brought into this year. So, you know, what's been interesting is since I've been in business, you know, full time for going on 5 years now, I remember for me, it was like, I felt that, and I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with when they go into business, is that thing of you set goals, and especially in the first 2 or 3 years, you're just not reaching them. So what was so weird was last year, I actually achieved the revenue goals that I wanted in my business. And I'll be honest with you, I was surprised. I was like, what's going on? What, I can actually set a goal and reach it now, yeah? Is that what we're doing? And I'm thinking, like, this is year 4, do you get what I'm saying? But then I took that into this year because, for example, when the lockdown hit, I remember saying to myself, do you know what? You call yourself an entrepreneur. People call you an entrepreneur. And as we know, entrepreneurship is not just about business. It's about those who are willing to take risks, those who are trying to actually make change. And so I said to myself, I want to make an extra £50,000 in business this year beyond what I would have normally made, even though the world is supposedly shutting down, slowing down, all of that kind of stuff. I said, no, regardless, I'm going to see if I can do that. And it was literally last week, I was sitting there reflecting on what I'd done. And I said, right, I've reached it. And we haven't even finished the year yet. Do you get what I'm saying? So to me, I think that was amazing because I set a specific figure. So that's the thing with SMART goals, right? You know, as we know, like we want to start with it being specific. So I said it needs to be 50,000. Do you get what I'm saying? And I know that's measurable because I have tracking systems in place that I use within business to go, what have I done on a monthly basis? I also know it's achievable because that's not the entirety of what I would have made in that year. But I know it's possible to be able to do that. And of course it was realistic because I looked at it and said, with my skill set, with the skill set of my team, stuff like that, we can do it. And it was time bound because I said, you've got until Christmas. Do you get what I'm saying? So I actually did have a mini deadline that came in place before that where I said October because I said, if for any reason there's an opportunity for me to speak in public in October, I want to be able to tell people to inspire them that this can be done. So and here we are. So yeah, for me, that's how the SMART goal ended up actually being able to become a tangible result.
It's an incredible story, man, and congratulations on all the success.
Thank you very much.
You're holding this little bad boy down here.
Yeah, the
What's
reason
this?
I brought my journal over just because I always say to people, like, you know, people forget, paper remembers. Now, of course, we can go paperless, and that's important. Do you get what I'm saying?
Because I do. We discussed this
I know.
earlier.
We discussed this earlier. But either way, it's about you need to have a place that you're tracking what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? Because they say you can only manage what you measure. So for me, I wrote that goal in my journal. So every single day, I'm looking at that goal. So every single day I've got the reminder, are you working towards that? I can look at the end of the week. What things have you done this week to work towards that? Have you achieved any milestones on the journey? Have you hit 5K, 10K, whatever it is? And so, yeah, I just always encourage people, whether it be paper, ideally recycled, or whether it be digital, have a way of being able to track not only what you're doing, but how you feel when you're doing it as well. Because what I'm grateful about with my journal is that, yes, it gets me to think about what I'm working towards and what I'm going to do professionally or practically to achieve that, but also, how do I feel when I'm doing it? It helps me to track my mood. It helps me to do gratitude, all of that kind of stuff. So I just think this is a built-in system, do you know what I mean, for being able to achieve goals. And this is not your only system, but it's one.
Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
So I love a good quote, and I've got 3 here to really wrap up this session, and from a couple of people you may know or may not. I'm going to start with the absolute legend that is Michael Jordan, a man that knows failure better than anybody else. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games, 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I have failed over and over again, and that is why I succeed. In his own words, I can accept failure, The only thing I cannot accept is the failure to try over and over again. My next quote is from one of the greatest innovators and inventors of all time. He gave us electricity, we're pretty grateful. Thomas Edison. I have not failed in life. I have simply found thousands of ways that do not work. No matter what you're trying to do in life, you will hit barriers and obstacles and you have to break through them. But when you have your big picture goals and you know where you're going, you will get through that. And my last quote, for those of you who already feel like you've hit some great successes, you're already growing, and for those of you who can picture where you are going, never let success get to your head, and never let failure get to your heart. With this inspiration, with this framework, and this clear criteria and belief in each and every single one of you. So to conclude and wrap up, don't try and build millions of goals or things that are going to overwhelm you. Start with just a couple, using our life strips that we started with. Work as hard as you can on making them smarter goals, right? Share them with some of your friends, get some feedback if you feel capable of doing that. My name has been Mark. It's been a real pleasure sharing this with you today. I really hope that you can build some extraordinary goals, and a lot of that also comes with time. So be patient, be kind to yourselves, and go off and achieve incredible things. Building on today's session and helping you get to the next level, there are 2 sessions I really recommend you go check out. The first is how to manage your development. And then the second is stepping out of your comfort zone. Take care, everybody.